Hey guys, I'm here with my 2003 Grand Prix, and today I'm gonna be fixing my rear right window regulator, or at least whatever is wrong with the windows, because they don't go up or down. As you can see, not working. I've got the car on already. So it started that it was kind of intermittent, and sometimes it would work and sometimes it wouldn't. And then it got to the point where pressing the button would cause a noise in the door, but nothing would happen, and now I'm not getting any reaction. So this could be mechanical. I somehow doubt that it's electrical in nature. I think the electricity is making it to the window, but for whatever reason the mechanisms or the motor or the gear, the worm gear or the gear train or whatever is messed up or something. But we're gonna find out what's wrong with it. So this instructional video will explain how to disassemble the rear door and how to diagnose and repair, if necessary, the window regulator. We'll see how far we get with that. I don't really know what we're getting ourselves into just yet. But anyway, first step in this process is to get the door panel off so that you can actually, see what's going on in there. So basically that amounts to these two screws. Well, you see these two caps here, this one here and this one here, there's two caps. They're like plastic coverings. Those cover up a couple of fasteners that are holding the door to the sheet metal, and I think they're Torx, so I've got a Torx set with me. So we're just going to use a flathead to pry those off and then undo the fasteners, and then we're going to have to remove this bezel here, which we're just going to pry up on with a flathead screwdriver. And we're going to have to remove this bezel here as well for the door handle. And again, we're going to pry up with a flathead. And then I believe there are multiple clips on the inside of this panel that are holding it to the door. So we're just going to have to pry around the entire edge of the door panel to disengage those clips, whether they're Christmas tree clips or W clips or whatever they are. And then the door should pull away. There's going to be some harnesses and things like that to remove as well along the way, but we'll do it one step at a time and get that door off. So step one, as I said, is to get these plastic clips off that cover up the fasteners here. I got one of them off already. I'm going to show you how I'm doing the other one. Very, very easy. This came off like super easy, so you should have no trouble getting this off. There we go. It comes off already, so that's it. Just take that, put it aside. If you were to look through the holes at this point, you would notice that the Torx fasteners are in there. I don't know if you can see them or not. You have to get the right angle to see them, but in any case, that's how you access the Torx, and they are Torx. I decided that rather than go right to the Torx, I'd take off the bezels first, because really I want to get all the loose peripheral stuff out of the way before I unbolt it. So for this piece here, and this is where the window control is, right? So again, just get the screwdriver underneath the bezel and rotate the screwdriver, and it'll kind of pry that up. Let's see if we can get it up around this top edge here. Hopefully you're not breaking anything doing this. I mean, I don't know if I just broke anything or not, but something fell. Did I break anything? It looks like I might have butchered one of the clips, possibly. Maybe not. No, I think it's okay. There's a spring load, like a little leaf spring here or something, to keep it in there. So anyway, that's fine. And then now that you've got this out, might as well just take this harness and disconnect it. So to disconnect this harness, there's a little tongue, like a little tab right here where my screwdriver is. Looks like it needs to be pushed down, and then pull the harness to the left, pull the window switch to the right, just by pushing on that. I'm gonna need both hands to do this, so I'll just explain how I did it, and then it's self-explanatory. You shouldn't need the instructions on how to do this part. So to get the bezel off for the door handle, same procedure. You just get your screwdriver in there and pry on it, but I tried to do it and I'll show you what happened. Okay, basically I broke every single clip that was holding this thing in. There's one right there, there's one right there, and there's another one right there. And they appear to be, I don't know, they don't look like Christmas tree clips to me. They look like just plastic posts that have some sort of maybe a retention barb on the other side. I don't know, but they didn't look like they were coming out. So good luck if you can get these out without destroying them. I'm just thinking that when I put this back together, I'm just gonna put like a dab of super glue on each one of those posts and then just stick the thing back in there and let it dry. I mean, really all these things do, they're not particularly functional. I mean, they hold a nice tight seal to the carpet here, so you know, so that the thing doesn't just kind of flop around like this. I mean, that could be annoying, right? I can understand why you wouldn't want that. So if you damage these things, just put some heavy amount of super glue on them when you put the thing back together. I'm really not sure how to get those off without destroying them. I mean, generally speaking, a lot of this stuff, a lot of these trim components that are held in with these types of clips, really the correct way to remove them is simply to apply pressure until they come off. So if you get unlucky and break one, it's not your fault, it's just, that's what happens. So anyway, now that we've got this out of the way, that's that part done. So I didn't disconnect this harness yet, but that's gonna come whenever I need to do it. I'll probably get to the I'll probably either disconnect that first or get to the Torx fasteners next. I was wrong earlier about this harness. I said to disconnect this piece here. Doing that will actually disconnect the wires from the housing that they are installed into. That's if you want to actually replace the sockets or something like that. That's not what you want. That's too much disassembly. On the back part, there's a much larger, more obvious clip that holds the entire thing to the window control here, and you just have to lift up on this tab with the screwdriver. It's super easy to do, and it comes apart. So that's the next step. Put this aside, and we'll move on to the Torx bits. So it looks like you need a T27 Torx. And here's the fastener itself. It's T27. That's what fit the best. For any of you who have ever played the game Operation, it's a kid's game. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Once you get this thing completely unscrewed, you've got to get it through that hole without losing it down into the door panel. And there's like 0.5 millimeter of clearance between the screw head and that hole. So be extremely careful. It's not the end of the world if you lose it in there. It just means that you're not going to find it until you get the door panel off. So if you decide to abort, you know, halfway through and put your door back together, you'll only have one screw holding it in there, or whatever, right? So try not to lose it. Anyway, I'm going to get to the other one. And little note that something that I noticed is that if you got one of those Torx sets that's like part of this rubberized thing, or they all fold out from this rubber thing, the reach on those is not very long, and I had a lot of trouble actually getting it in far enough to reach the fastener. So I have a feeling I may not be able to get this one out at all on the right here. So you're going to need like a Torx screwdriver, like a proper screwdriver with a shaft that's long enough to actually get in there. Otherwise you probably won't be able to get this one out. So just letting you know in advance what type of tools you're going to need. Okay, so I managed to get both of these bolts out, but in order to get the one on the right hand side, I had to disconnect the Torx, the metal tool, the metal part of the tool from the plastic rubberized housing thing that it was a part of. I just used an Allen key to just take the thing apart and pull out the metal part, the tool part, and then it was skinny enough that I could actually get it in there. And then I still couldn't turn it with my fingers, so I had to use like a pair of pliers to turn it. So, you know, this is not really rocket science or anything. It's just a pain in the ass. So once you get those two out, officially the door panel should be like disconnected from the sheet metal. But at this point, you still have to pry all the Christmas tree connectors away that are around the perimeter of the door frame, or the door panel, I mean. So I just, you know, got my fingers behind this and started to pull back, and I started to hear them popping out, and for the most part I think they're okay. You can see one there that's still intact. It's kind of butchered a little bit, but it's not like broken off, so we should be able to get this thing back together. My recommendation is not to pull in like a pure motion. Like, don't try to pull straight back, like just purely straight back. Try to like pull up, go side to side, you know, give it like a rotating motion as you're pulling back, because these Christmas tree clips, I noticed with this door in particular, over time the entire door panel seems to have sank so that everything is like lower than it should be in its nominal position, which means that all the Christmas tree clips are kind of leaning on the bottom edge of the sheet metal hole that they go into, and therefore they're kind of snagged. So if you pull up, move left or right, you can sort of like rehome those clips to some extent, and they'll come out more easily without risking breaking them. So give that a try. Again, because this is kind of a two-hand job, I can't really videotape it effectively, but I'm just going to basically go around the entire perimeter and wiggle and pull on this thing until the entire thing comes loose, and then I'll show you the next step after that. Okay, and once you get everything disconnected, this is essentially what you would see. You see this weather stripping kind of vapor barrier thing covering the entire door panel, and of course this is the inside of the door that I just pulled off. So yeah, not too bad. Came off pretty easily, I would say. You know, a couple of fasteners in the corner come loose first, and then you pull, and then everything just comes off at the same time, one big fell swoop. One of the plastic clips got stuck in the door, so I just used some pliers to pull it out, and then I put it back into its little housing. They just slide in. Maybe it wasn't that one, I can't remember which one it was, but anyway, there's like a little flange behind here. You just literally push down and that just slides out. So to get it back in, you just slide it back up, and it just goes in there. Yeah, there we go, that's the one. So you just get that in there, and boom, goes back in, right? So next step is probably the messiest and stupidest and hardest, and it's got to be one of the hottest days of the year here, so I'm not looking forward to it. But this tar colored stuff that holds the plastic on, that's got to come off, and you need to put this plastic thing back on when you reassemble the door. So yeah, just try to get this off without tearing the plastic and without completely obliterating all that tar stuff. Try not to get any of it on you either, because it's messy. So guys, I found that in order to start diagnosing what's wrong with this thing, you don't necessarily need to completely remove this shield. And if you do remove it, it's just going to be a pain in the ass to line it back up again later. So it's probably best to leave a little bit of it on there, just so that you've got, like, you know, the original alignment still intact, and then you can just sort of push the edges back where they came from, right? But once you expose this port here, you've pretty much got access to the motor and all the electrical stuff. And if you need to remove the window regulator at this point, then you can actually get at most of these bolts here that are holding it in place. The rail appears to be held in with these, well, actually that's riveted in, never mind. The rail, well, this is the motor housing here, so the motor is being held in by these 3 Torx. Still trying to figure out where the rail is. There's a piece of foam in here, insulating foam. I'm just going to remove that. Let's see if I can get that out. That's just for acoustics. So put that aside. There's your door seal, or your window glass seal, I should say, not the door seal, window glass seal. Okay, so the window regulator rail is, it's that metal thing on the left there. And it looks like it's being, oops, shoot, getting goop all over my hands. Looks like it's being held in by maybe this fastener here. That'd be my guess. So anyway, you can, through inspection, you can figure out what's holding the rail in. So if you undo the bolts that hold the rail in, you should be able to get the rail that lifts the glass up and down. You should be able to get that loose, and then you can pull it out through one of these portholes here and service it if you need to. I'm still at this point diagnosing what's wrong with mine, so I'll get back to you when I have an idea about that. Just want to show you guys something. So I just disconnected the harness leading to the motor, which is this socket here. That's what this is, okay? Again, you have to push down on this little tab here and then slide it out. And I've stuck the probes of a multimeter into the socket, and I have the car running to check to see if proper voltage is going to the motor. And that's what I'm going to demonstrate right now. So here's your voltage, and basically what you need to do is reconnect for a moment. Just grab the window controller there, reconnect it for a moment, and then just function it either up or down, and you'll see what happens here. So when I go up, I get 14.2. When I go down, I get minus 14.2. It's important to notice that the polarity shifts to reverse the direction of the motor, because it's a DC motor, DC brushed motor, and that's how they work, negative and positive voltage. So 14.2 volts, assuming that there's no problem with the circuit itself, should be enough voltage. So that's not really the problem. I'm going to have to keep investigating and figure out what's causing it.